All right, welcome back to the innovation stage. I hope you're having an awesome time so far. Our next speaker is David Nohe. He's the CEO at FinGoal. Please join me in welcoming David to our virtual stage.
Hey everybody, let me share my screen here. Thank you so much for having me. So again, I'm David Nohe, CEO of FinGoal. We build analytic infrastructure for trusted financial brands, all predicated on better understanding their individual end users on a human level, what they value, what they care about, and what's motivating them right now. Looking back on the past 12 months, we've seen banks and credit unions step up as heroes for their communities. In the US, institutions of all sizes worked long hours, often all hands on deck and late into the night to help small businesses access the PPP loans. Beyond that, every single retail bank, large and small, digital or traditional, came to the realization that their digital branch is now their most important, and that keeping up with competition from all sides means thinking deeply about how to differentiate their digital banking offering to retain and grow. Real quick, a bit about myself. I'm a lawyer by training, but I've worked in tech for most of my career, bringing innovation into regulated industries. I was at Apple, bringing the iPhone to market originally in the US and then later in the UK. I co-founded a successful payments business in the healthcare space, and now I'm the founding CEO of FinGoal, a 20-person software startup dedicated to enabling financial brands to hyper-personalize their services. We are currently in the third wave of digital banking. The first was simply bringing basic functionality to desktops in the mid to late 90s. The second was really just replicating all of that functionality, but bringing it to a smaller screen while adding a few cool features like ATM Finder or mobile deposit. But now we find ourselves in a third wave where consumers are expecting their banks to know them and serve them better. AI and machine learning are enabling financial brands to serve them better with a level of personalization that you get on your Facebook feed or Google results. Let's look at a model of how this works. This is how my data science team looks at hyper-personalization. In a nutshell, bank customers know that their bank has access to a ton of their data, and they expect to be treated as individuals, just like recommendations from an Amazon or a Netflix. Our four-part model goes from data to inferences to create insights, and then finally to curation of content, all constantly being tuned at each step with smart feedback loops within our tech. I'm going to move through this quickly, but I want to just go a level deeper. We start with the available data that the user has granted us access. And for us, transaction data, credit and debit card spending, is the cornerstone for what we do. Then we move to inferences. Next, we develop insights into the individual values and propensities for all sorts of important things, like who's likely to be applying for a mortgage in 90 days. Finally, we bring all of this to light to curate our advice and our content, both our proprietary library of content and advice, as well as offers and content from our clients. I want to share a few examples of how hyper-personalization is working in the wild today outside of FinGoal. Here are personal financial trends and peer benchmarks that are now available from Envestnet Yodlee. Similarly, Personetics has a new trends feature that they sell out into the market. Maniga has been using ML to offer really, really specific financial service offerings within their product. A really large bank here in the US is using location-based nudges to determine, based on a user's history and their current location, when they are likely to be heading into a bank for an in-person branch transaction and trying to nudge them towards ATM usage. And of course, we're all super familiar with the wave of chatbots that are all over the market today. Now I want to share two stories about how not hyper-personalizing can really tick off customers. Like, what's the risk of not adopting this approach. So a friend of mine, Monica, is one of the editors at the American Bankers Association Journal, right? The trade magazine for the banking associate or for the bank industry. She has been banking with a large US bank for over 15 years, large enough that they've got naming rights on a major stadium. Every time that Monica logs into digital banking from her laptop, she gets a splash screen promoting a HELOC to her, a home equity line of credit. Every single time. The trouble is that Monica does not own a home, and she never has. Not only is this a waste of valuable promotional space for the bank, it also serves as a constant reminder that her bank does not know Monica very well. The second's a personal story. Just before COVID, I took my family out to a local family-run Italian restaurant for dinner. The sort of place where the kids eat for like $8, $9. My wife and I are maybe 15 to 17, plus like a $12 bottle of wine, right? Like a family restaurant. I bank with one of the largest banks in the country, and I put this dinner on my debit card. I logged into my bank, and I saw a cashback offer on this transaction from the local Italian restaurant to get 8% cash back to go to KFC. I'll be honest, like that annoyed me. Again, not only was that a waste of space, but it just feels like, man, are you just selling me to a bunch of marketers and not actually trying to serve me better? It sure as hell, screw it, didn't grow trust between me and my bank. Let me show a little bit about how Find Money from FinGoal works. With Find Money, we analyze consumer credit and debit card spending in order to basically comparison shop every dollar that the end user spends to ensure that they get the best bang for their buck everywhere that they spend money, from a cup of coffee to home and auto insurance and everything in between. We white label that advice to be delivered within existing digital banking experiences, right? We're not direct to consumer, we sell to financial brands. But let me show you a demo. This is Jake logged into his bank app, recently updated with Find Money from us at FinGoal. From his transactions, I can see that he lives in Overland Park outside of Kansas City. I see doggy daycare spend, and I know that he's a dog owner. And a couple times a month, Jake's going to happy hour at a local beer garden. Now, let me show you just two examples of the sort of advice that we might provide. A couple times a month, Jake was going to PetSmart to buy dog food. We converted him from PetSmart to Chewy.com, where he's getting the same brands of dog food, but paying less for it. This is just a really simple if this, then that. It's not even that hyper-personalized yet. But let's go deeper. I mentioned that beer garden. We found Jake another pub equally convenient to where he lives with an awesome outdoor space. Beer's $1.50 cheaper during happy hour, and Yelp scores are half a star higher. But what really matters to this individual end user, what matters to Jake, is that this pub is dog friendly. That's what we refer to as hyper-personalized advice to find money for consumers. With FinGoal, we measure the impact that we have on end users, how much money we find them and how much they save. Not only is that a really great way to add value to a bank's customers and also drive digital engagement, but equally important, we are freeing up and tracking additional cash flow month over month that we make really easy to move into other financial instruments, other offerings from their financial brand. That could be long-term savings, that could be brokerage, retirement, paying down debt, saving for a house. All of which helps the end user meet their long-term financial goals and increases the stickiness between that customer and their financial brand. So just like we started, customers expect banks to know them. Banks just need to act like it. I'm David Nohe, CEO of FinGoal. Thank you so much for having me. If you'd like a copy of this deck, or shoot, you just want to find some time to talk shop, you can text AI to 474747. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. If you could stop sharing your screen, the audience is giving you a huge virtual round of applause. Thank you for sharing those insights with us.
Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. For the audience, it's time for you to make your way to your next session. Along the way, make sure to accept your connection request and check out our awesome AI exhibits. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.